Now, last week we kind of talked about your situation. So you're staying with your sister, and you're trying to leave this abusive relationship. So you've made those first steps, which is great, and looking more towards maybe connecting with resources. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we talked about a lot of details last time, and guess what? We're going to talk about more this time. So I have some questions, some topics to go through just to get a better idea of what is going on, who are the people that are around you, more about the goals that you have in mind so we can start those action steps. So some questions may seem kind of random. We're also going to talk about some health, medical history, and things like that.
Okay.
If you have any questions or you feel uncomfortable at any time, just let me know. We can skip. We can come back later.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so just remind me, you said that your sister let you know about our agency. Was there any other process of how you found out about us?
That was really it. She works just in she works in an affiliate, like the information technology part of a hospital, and so
Great.
I think she asked her coworkers, and that's where she got the name of this organization for me.
And if you don't mind, I'll take some notes just so I can remember.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you can look at them at any time. Okay, so your sister, and she's working at the hospital. That's great. So she has a lot of information about resources in the area. Okay, awesome. So some general information. Remind me of your first and last name.
Michelle Smith.
Awesome. And what is your age?
27.
Okay, great. Okay. What race or ethnicity would you consider yourself to be?
Primarily Caucasian. There's a lot of American Indian on my dad's side.
Okay.
And I kind of identify with that, but
Sure. Yeah. Okay, great. And what would you consider your gender to be?
identify female.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So it sounds like your sister is a part of your life right now, and you've got some kiddos. Who else is a part of your family relationships right now?
Well, I've got one older sister and one younger sister.
Okay.
My younger sister is 5 years younger than me, so she's just kind of in a different place in her life. She's still younger and kind of figuring things out. And I feel like she's not really the type of person I go to with problems.
Okay.
I'm close with her, like we see each other fairly frequently, but I don't really feel comfortable, I don't know, disclosing all of this information to her necessarily, because I think of her just, I want to protect her from some of this, I guess.
Yeah.
But my older sister, she's just a year older than me, but we were always close growing up, and she let me obviously move in with her short term, and so she's probably my closest friend, really.
Wow, that's great that you have that relationship with your older sister. It seems like maybe your younger sister, you're not ready to share that information about your life. Maybe you don't want to worry her about where you're at. Is
Yeah,
that
and
correct?
I think she just doesn't, I don't know if she'd understand. My husband was really good at being different in public maybe than he was at home, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to talk to her about everything that's happened. I mean, she knows I'm not with him right now, but she hasn't really asked for details, and I haven't given her.
Yeah. So maybe she has a different idea of what your husband, or is there a better term you want to use, or?
I don't know. I haven't really thought of a new term because it's pretty new. I mean, obviously, I do want to look into like getting a divorce, and that would, I guess, make him my ex-husband.
Okay.
Would
you rather use his name, or?
We can. His name is John.
John. Okay. So yeah, we can say John if you're more comfortable with that. Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about how to.
Right. Yeah.
It's new. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So your younger sister, you feel like you have a pretty good relationship with, but it's just a very different relationship than your older sister.
Yeah. My mom passed away when I went. I mean, just about 5 years ago or so. But I think my older sister and I kind of took on like parenting roles with my younger sister, and so it just is different. Our relationship is different.
Yeah. It's kind of like your parents wouldn't let you into that part of their life, so now you don't really want to involve your younger sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I know you've got some kiddos. Do you have 2 kids?
2.
Okay. Are they both boys?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. 7 and 9.
Oh wow. So really close in age.
Yeah.
Do they get along?
Mostly. I think kind of like all siblings.
Right.
A little bickering, but they're pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay, so we've got an older sister, younger sister. You mentioned that your mom had passed away about 5 years ago. Is your dad involved or?
Well, he was. My parents were together my whole life, and so he was a big part of my life. But he wasn't very involved when my mom got sick, and a lot of the responsibilities fell on my sister and I. And so I don't know. Since then, our relationship's been really strained, and I just don't. I I don't talk to him as much. I talk to him sometimes, and mostly it's for my kids
Right.
to interact with him.
Right. You want him to be involved in
Yeah.
their life.
And he's good with them, but I don't know. It's hard for me to react. I don't know, like relate to him in the same way that
Sure.
I used to.
Kind of just change the way you've seen him based on how he reacted to your mom's.
And he's remarried, and
Oh,
his his new wife is just. I don't know that she's super fond of us, and just a little bit of tension. You know, anytime family dynamics change, it's just different because we were adults when they got remarried, and it's harder. I don't know.
Yeah. It's complex. That situation's very complex. Okay. And so he's remarried.
Yes.
All right. Are there any other people in your family you want to mention?
Probably. I'm close to my maternal grandmother, but more of like a caregiver relationship. But besides that, I mean, I have more family members, but I'm not particularly close with any of them. I see them on the holidays and stuff, but not like day-to-day activities.
Yeah,
I
just
guess.
kind of removed interactions.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? How was your year?
Yes.
Pretty good.
Sort of.
Pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so it seems like you've got some support from your family. Obviously, or your sister wouldn't be letting you stay there, so that's great. Tell me a little bit more about your other support system. Are you involved in any other community, organizations or anything like that?
No, not really. And honestly, since I got married to John, I feel like my life has been mostly just like about staying at home and being with my kids, and like I would interact with my sisters, but I lost a lot of friendships.
Sure.
I don't know, just the way that we lived. It wasn't. I didn't go to church regularly. I didn't have a job, so I didn't have to be out. So I feel like my main support really is my sisters, my family. I have people I could probably still call friends, but I don't talk to them very much.
Yeah, you haven't kept up with them.
Yeah.
You haven't been able to go out with them. And okay, that can be kind of stressful to all of a sudden have John removed and realize, my friendships and kind of that impact he had on your life.
Yeah, I don't know that I realized it entirely while it was happening. It was
Sure.
more like after it had happened, and I realized I didn't really have friends, or I didn't really do things as much.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would see my sister living her life differently, and it just kind of made me look at my relationship and see it in a different way.
Yeah. Okay. So is that kind of realization that those friendships and that life that your sister was living, did that kind of lead to you looking more in your own situation and thinking, I need to make some changes?
Yeah. There were some like critical, I don't know, things that happened, like times when John lost control that scared me, but he was good with our kids, and everybody else saw him as this really great person, and they didn't see that side of him. And so I think for a long time I was okay with just dealing with the other stuff for the sake of like the bigger picture.
Right.
But I think that was part of it, realizing like I was kind of alone, and just all the little things started to build up, and I realized it really wasn't healthy. And my sister got married, and her relationship is just very different.
Interesting.
And she's like expecting her first child, and it's just such a different experience. And I feel like that made me look at my life and realize maybe that things didn't have to be the way that they were.
Yeah. Wow, what a great perspective to realize that you have the potential to be, who you really are and not be controlled by John. So what a great step in reaching out. So you mentioned that you lost control once. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, a couple of times. I mean, there have been a couple of times over the years, and mostly it was usually whenever I did something he didn't like or he didn't want. And I think that sometimes it was related to like social things. Like I would want to go out or do something, or one time I proposed working, and he just he wasn't okay with that, and he would like sort of lose throw things around, and a couple of times he like would push me sort of,
Sure.
and it didn't ever escalate to a point where I felt like in those moments I needed to like ask for help, but then looking back, I felt like just more uncomfortable
Right.
as time went on, and I worried like, what if it happened when my sons were around? And I don't know. And it was weird because like he would lose control, but then like later on, even that same night, he would be like back to the same person,
Right.
and I was like excusing it a lot.
Sure, yeah. It sounds like he was able to present himself as pretty normal or a family guy, and then kind of behind closed doors, even away from your children, he would react towards things that you said. It seems like it maybe was unpredictable, even. You're not sure
Yeah.
what to expect.
It was, and I mean, really, the only person I've talked to about it is my sister, and it's hard for me to explain to other people because he really does. He seems like a great husband to out. I think to like somebody who doesn't realize what happened.
Yeah. Maybe in those moments you're second guessing yourself too. Like he is a great guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So-
definitely. And I think I just wanted to have like I don't know. I wanted my sons to have like their parents
Right,
together,
right.
and I think that was why it took me so long to realize that like maybe something more was going on.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure to put on your own shoulders to kind of keep the family together for your kids' sake.
Yeah.
Okay, well, kind of talking about your relationship with John, or not even John, but a little bit about your sexual history. Anything of note that you'd like to mention? Sexually active, not sexually active?
Not currently.
Okay.
John is the only person I've ever been with.
Okay.
We started dating in high school, and I actually got pregnant my senior year, and that's why we got married
Okay.
so quickly. And so he's really the only person I've ever been in a real relationship with. We started dating when we were like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
I don't know. So he's just my only experience. So that's
Right.
I don't know, not something I guess on my plate right now. I just want to get into a stable
Right.
situation, but yeah, I don't have a lot
Yeah.
going on besides John. He's been my only experience.
Okay. It's kind of another layer of connectedness. Maybe you were feeling to him and maybe didn't want to let that go throughout all that time because he is the only person. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. Any alcohol or drug use?
I smoke.
Okay.
I guess I drink sometimes,
Sure.
but not very much. I used to more when I would go out with friends for like dinner or drinks or
Right.
something. But I haven't really had a lot of opportunities, recently. But no other drugs. I mean, I think I tried a few in high school,
Sure.
but nothing since then.
Nothing that stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many cigarettes would you say you smoke a day?
Well, honestly, it's gotten worse. I feel
Sure.
like my stress has made me smoke more than I ever did.
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes maybe half a pack a day, but I keep telling myself I want to quit, and then I try, and then I do better for a while, and then something stressful happens, and then it all goes out the door, and it goes worse. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I sometimes better than others.
Right. Okay. Seems like that might be something you would want to work on decreasing in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. Just I know it's bad,
Right.
and I don't want to do it, but I'm dependent on it right now. So
Sure. When did you start smoking?
high school, just occasionally, but it probably became more of like a regular habit a couple years after I was married. Just
Okay.
when I was alone a lot with something to do, I could go out on the porch and be alone and
Right.
get away from my sons for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of my own time. So I
Yeah,
feel like that's
sure.
when I maybe picked it up as a more like regular habit.
Yeah, because you're looking for more of those escapes.
Yeah. In retrospect, I can see that.
Right. Right,
But
yeah.
I don't know if I would have understood it the same way.
No, probably not. Right. 2020 hindsight.
Yeah.
Okay, so smoking, we've talked about a little bit of alcohol, but not really. Just seems kind of socially. Have you had any like major surgeries or medical history that you'd like to share?
Nothing recently. When I was a kid, I was in a bad car accident with my
just that one kind of trip to the ER, huh?
Yeah, everything else is pretty normal, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. And you said that didn't really affect you, so nothing really stuck out about that car accident in your memory?
I think I was just so young, I didn't really understand what happened. Like, I can remember being scared, and I can remember a few things about being in the hospital, maybe, like, just that,
Right.
like the,
Yeah.
being able to kind of picture, maybe,
Right, exactly.
I think it probably affected my mom and dad more,
Right.
having kids in the hospital, but I don't really remember it.
Sure.
So I don't think it really has an effect on me now.
Okay. All right. So just the one car accident. Okay. So we were talking about maybe getting involved in like divorce, the process of that. Are there any other type of like legal issues you've had to deal with in your past?
No, I haven't had any interactions with the law, and
Okay.
I don't know. I want to look into a divorce, but I don't know. I worry that because I haven't ever like involved the police in any of the interactions with my husband, like I'm scared to start that process because I don't know what John is gonna say and like what he's gonna tell people and like what he's gonna want custody wise, and so I feel like I've been putting that off even though I've been out of the house for a month because I don't really know what people are gonna ask or what he'll say.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see why you would be really hesitant to move forward with those procedures because then it becomes like a real thing that's happening. You're really trying to remove your kids from him. You're really separating your life. So, and like you said, when he kind of put on that face for other people, and there's no record from the police, but I think that people have been able to move forward with that kind of situation. So I can see why you'd be nervous, but I believe that there, some hope of working with like Midmo Legal through the divorce process.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to learn more, but I'm just I don't know if I'm
Right.
I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm just
Starters maybe housing.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you hadn't called the police with any interactions, any kind of have you spent the night in the jail cell or anything like that before for any reason?
No, I feel like I didn't really have a wild phase
Right.
because I got married so young and then I had kids so young. My whole life was devoted to them, and so I didn't ever have that like single period where I was like out doing crazy things or something. My life just revolved around my son so young that that's just been my focus.
Okay. All right. So right now, I remember from last week that you talked about you may want to look into real estate licensing. Can you tell me more about your educational or your employment past? What have your jobs looked like?
Well, I graduated high school. I was pregnant during the last semester, but I graduated.
You should be so proud of that.
And I haven't had any schooling past that. I worked part-time at like a grocery store in high school, but my John had like a job that was able to support both of us because he was a mechanic, and as soon as we got married and I was pregnant and I was about to have a child, I just never worked again. And he didn't. I proposed it once when my sons were first like starting school, and he didn't really like the idea of it. And so I feel very unqualified to do anything because I don't have a lot of work experience and I don't have like any extra education or anything. So I don't really even know how to approach like getting a job or like, I mean, being a real estate agent is something I've always been interested in, but I don't even know if I'm qualified or like what the next step would be, or if that's not even like a reasonable goal right now. If I need to do something else, I just don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can talk about those kind of goals a little later on to see if that is something you want to pursue. Kind of what are those baby steps to get there? Because it seems like ever since you graduated high school, maybe a little bit before, you haven't had your own goals in mind. So it's kind of a new journey for you, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right. So, can you tell me a little bit about your hometown, where you grew up?
Well, I grew up in a small town, probably about 40 minutes from here.
Okay.
And it, I don't know, maybe we had like 800 or 900 people. It was very small. But I went to high school. It was like a high school that joined up a couple of different small towns. So it was a little bigger.
Yeah.
It still wasn't a huge school, but it wasn't like I was going to school with 30 people or something.
Right.
Um,
In an old school
yeah,
house.
it wasn't quite that bad, but it was very small. Yeah, he knows everything about you.
Yeah.
And I think that was, I don't know, after my mom died, my dad started like seeing other women really quickly, and so
Right.
I was happy to get a little further away from there.
Sure.
And my sister lives in the city as well, so I wanted to be closer to her.
Yeah. Maybe news was traveling kind of fast.
Yeah, and I think just being pregnant in high school and
Right.
having kids young, you just I feel like there's some judgment there. I mean, I went to the same church growing up my entire life, but I didn't really feel like I fit in there as much after I got married and my life was different. So I don't know. It wasn't a bad childhood experience overall. I had my parents and my sisters and I had friends, I guess, and my life was pretty normal as a kid. So
Yeah, it seems like a lot of things in your life changed when you found out you were pregnant. Your church community, were they not as accepting, you said, once they found out?
Well, I wasn't married whenever I was
Sure.
pregnant, and it became obvious eventually. And my parents let me stay, and they weren't happy with me, but they were fairly supportive. But I feel like that just changed some of my the way I looked at things, just because I was treated a little differently. And then John and I got married, and then my whole life just became very focused on that, and so I think I just lost touch. Some of my friends and that I went to school with, I just didn't see as much because their lives were in a different place.
Yeah. You almost couldn't meet on any kind of common ground anymore.
Yeah.
What are
They
you
just
doing
didn't
later?
understand.
Baby.
Yeah.
What are you doing later?
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of hard to relate a little bit once you have that big life change.
Yes.
All right. So have you found another church community here?
I haven't, but I haven't really looked.
Okay.
I liked growing up in a church community, and so I kind of would like that for my boys, but I think it would be more for them than for me right now.
Okay.
Because I just, not having gone to church for so many years, I feel like I just kind of internalized my spirituality and found other ways to feel like I was connected, and just I didn't feel like I needed to go.
Right.
But now that I'm realizing how little support I have, and thinking back to when I was a kid and all my church friends and going to barbecues and stuff, and it was just there was a group of people that you could sort of rely on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I like the idea of finding something like that again, but also in a bigger city, I don't know if it would be the same.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It could look different. Sounds like you found other ways to kind of meet that spirituality need, but that community need went away when you left that community. So, yeah, that's a good thing to keep in mind, that it could be different here, but maybe something to try out.
Yeah. And my sister, I've gone a couple of times with my sister since I've been staying with her, but her husband is a different religion than we grew up, and so it's been almost more like me just watching and observing than engaging when I'm there. So I wouldn't feel comfortable joining that community, because it's not really the type of it's not. He's Catholic and I don't really identify that way, and while I think it's kind of cool to go and watch, it's not really where I feel like I would fit in. So I would have to try to find that on my own.
Right.
And I just haven't even had the time to think about it yet.
Exactly. Yeah, that seems like the point of getting involved in church, is to be included and find that. But if you kind of feel like an outsider, it's fun to watch, like you said, but maybe not long term. So you came in primarily to find housing. Is that correct?
Yeah, my sister and her husband, I just know that it's putting a financial strain on them for my sons and I to be there, and my sister's due to have a baby in the next few months.
That's right.
And so we're staying in what would be the baby's room, and she's gonna probably need that. And it's not like she's told me I have to be out by a certain time, but I just know that we're
she's coming. You can feel it. It's in the room.
Yeah, it's exactly. I know it's time, and I don't really know. I don't. It's just hard, I don't know if a job comes first, and then I try to find a place to live, but I don't even know how to do any of that because I've never had to do it for myself before. But housing is definitely something that is a priority right now. So I also just feel like my sons are their whole lives are snooze
Yeah.
essentially, and that doesn't feel normal to them, and they
Exactly.
have a lot of questions. And if they had like a stable like place,
Right.
maybe it would be.
Some routine, they
Yeah.
know what to expect,
I
maybe
would
less
love that,
confusion. Yeah. So that's a good point about the employment or the housing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe employment may be another thing that we're interested in engaging with through our services.
Yes.
Okay. One thing you did mention last week that I remember is that John still is a little unpredictable and maybe kind of looking for you. Do you feel like you are safe where you work?
Well, I know by this time, just with as many like friends and like just we interacted with all all the same people, his family, my family, and stuff. I know he probably knows I'm at my sister's house, and he hasn't said anything to me.
Okay.
But that makes me kind of nervous too because I left when he was at work one day, but he talked he called me and I answered to explain like pretty quickly like when he got home that night. But then we haven't really talked since then. But I know I don't know. I just know I feel like something could happen, but I don't know how to predict it, and I don't have anywhere else to go. So I think he always seemed to like my sister, so I don't think he would like do anything. And honestly, I don't know if he would do anything when other people were around, because I think that's something he like leans on, is the fact that he would say that to me, like your family loves me and stuff, and like I just don't know if he would do things if I were with people. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would surprise me, but I guess it could happen.
Could happen, I guess, yeah. Maybe doesn't want to jeopardize that stand-up guy look that he has for everybody. And so you let him know that you were leaving, you left while he was at work, and you called to kind of follow up. How was that call?
Well, yeah, I went back and forth on leaving for a long time, and it was hard. And my sister finally, she was like, this is a few things. I feel like I didn't tell her everything at first, and as she learned more about it, she was more worried. And she finally kind of convinced me that it was time. And so she came over one day because I didn't work, so I was home all day while he was gone. And she kind of thought that would be the best time to do it, and I didn't really know what to do or how he would react, and I was scared, and I didn't really want him there, and something to escalate because she's pregnant, and what if something happened? Because she was the only person I had to help me move out. I felt like I didn't want her to be in danger. So she came over, and we took some of my stuff, and then when I picked the boys up from school that day, I just took them to her house. And he was calling me that night, and I knew I felt like I owed him an explanation, because I haven't. It's not like I don't really feel like I've talked to him about how I feel. I didn't know how. I was always scared of how he would react. So it's not like I told him I was going to leave before then. So when he was calling, I finally answered, and I just told him that I wanted to the boys to be with me, and I didn't feel safe. And he was pretty angry on the phone, and eventually I just kind of hung up because I was just overwhelmed. And then he didn't call back that night, and I haven't heard from him since. So it's kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of, it feels like something could be building maybe, or he could be planning to do something, or maybe my worst fear is what if he's already got a lawyer and he's talking about his side of the story. I don't know. I mean, I just a million thoughts are running through my head, but I don't know. I don't really want to reach out to him because I don't really want to interact with him.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good decision that you made to leave, and it can be kind of a scary time right now because you don't know what he's up to. But I think the steps towards getting your own life in order and following your own dreams and goals and getting your kiddo situated, I think that's great right now. But it is good to be in mind that he is a little unpredictable, it seems like. So if there's ever a time that you're feeling unsafe while you're staying at your sister's, there are domestic violence shelters in town. So if you feel like that is a need, you can always reach out, give me a call, and let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of kind of issues we've had and past history and things like that. And so I was hoping to kind of shift and talk more towards strengths that we've got and some goals that we have. So can we talk a little bit about the strengths that you have?
Yeah.
It's an odd question. Tell me some good things about yourself. But there are some strengths.
I know I really want to been away from me
Definitely, yeah.
because
Uh-huh.
she has always been there for me, and she was the one who like sort of like pushed me to make this change that she like had heard me talk about for a long time. And I feel like she's going to be there for me. She can't be there for me financially necessarily.
Yeah.
Like she just doesn't have that ability. I think she would if she could,
Yeah.
but that's not really her place, and she can't do that. But I feel like she's like always somebody I could like go to
Yeah.
to talk or to watch my sons or like
Oh yeah,
just
that's a
things
great
like that.
resource. Yeah. Yeah, she's an excellent resource. Um, from talking with you, you seem very resilient. So even though you got pregnant in high school, had to face some of that while in high school, and got married young, and have since had maybe not the best relationship, you've been very resilient. So you're still coming out of it with your kiddos who are, doing well considering the situation, and you still got your own goals in mind. So I would say I see a lot of resiliency. Are there any other strengths or kind of supports that you would like to write down, keep in mind?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of lacking in some areas, honestly, without having experience or education. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Sure.
hard for me to see.
Yeah.
I feel like my situation is so crazy right now.
Right, that's the last thing
I
you're
don't
thinking about.
Yeah.
So these are some good things to keep in mind, that you are very motivated right now and you've got family support, resilient in times that are difficult. And I think another maybe strength is that you are working with this agency, so we can open up some resources and different doors for you. So throughout our meeting, we have talked about a few goals, kind of, they've come up. So I'm hearing housing, maybe looking towards quitting smoking, possibly finding a job that you're interested in. So we have space to make a few goals and kind of like action steps for those. So what would be that number one goal for you?
This is where I may need a little guidance. I don't know if I'm.
Sure.
I mean, housing definitely in like the next month needs to be something before my sister has her baby, but I don't know if there's something I could be doing sooner than that to work on like getting a job, because I don't have that much money.
Okay. Yeah.
I was only able to really bring what I had like been able to sort of save up without John knowing for the last couple of years, when it was just even in the back of my mind that someday I may need to have my own money. And so I feel like housing and job, like finding some sort of like job or employment, those would be the two biggest things for me right at this time. I mean, I'd like to quit smoking sometime, but I feel like my life is really stressful right now, and I don't know how well I'd be able to stick to it right now.
To it yet. And that's fine, yeah. Okay, so would you also be interested in looking for maybe programs that do rental assistance, where they help you out in getting into a place? They do several months of assistance while you kind of get things in order.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was an option.
Okay, so maybe maybe our first goal could possibly be looking into those resources to figure out what is out there. So I believe that there is an application through our agency. So would you like to list complete application for rental assistance as a goal?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Because this rental assistance recognizes that something's happened, and so if you're domestic violence, if you're fleeing that situation, then you can qualify for that. So complete a rental assistance. And when would you like to have that done by?
I guess it depends on how complicated the application is.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe by the next time.
Yeah,
hopefully by the next time we meet.
Okay.
If
And we can work on that together, or you can bring any questions to the meeting next week. So
yeah, that sounds good.
maybe by next week. Okay, so probably the important thing is going to be getting those application materials. So from this agency, so maybe gather application materials.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can kind of send you with some of those today so that you know what to get ready.
Okay.
Okay, great. And it looks like, two goals. So you want to do an employment goal maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, well, let's think about what that might look like. So real estate is kind of what our end goal is, correct? So maybe looking into the process of getting that So,
Because if it were to be,
right.
I need to get a job, but
Okay.
I also, if I'm going to be the primary and like only caregiver of my sons, it has to be something that I can pick them up from school.
Yep,
Like if I'm
that's
living
true.
alone,
Mhm.
like I have talked to my sister about it, and she suggested a few things, but I feel like I'm limited right now because I've just never done this without a second person.
Right. To kind of be there. You have
Yeah.
so many more things to keep in mind now, like your schedule and your
Yeah,
real
and that's
estate.
another thing. I mean, I've always thought real estate sounded like something I'd be good at, but it also seems like something maybe my schedule could be flexible enough to
Definitely.
where I could
Mhm.
take care of my sons and still have a career.
Mhm.
And that's I don't know, like, because my sister has to work 8 to 5,
Okay.
and so if I took a job like that,
Yeah.
I'd have to find something to do with my sons, and so that's like something that I've been
Mhm.
hung up on,
Right.
and just like looking at jobs in the paper.
Right. Right. It's like, this sounds great, but
Yeah.
what am I gonna do with my
Exactly.
kids? Yeah, exactly.
So if I were to find a job, I'd have to like figure out something to do with my sons, but I don't really have the money to afford. I don't know.
Right.
It's just, yeah, it's a hard
What a
situation
cycle.
right now.
Mhm.
But real estate is something I really think.
Okay.
I don't know how long the
Right.
process is to do that,
Mhm.
or if there's an opportunity to do that
Right.
here.
Yeah. So it seems like we have that goal, but there's a lot up in the air. So maybe getting some information down on paper, you have a better idea of, is this actually something I want to do? And what's this going to look like? And then maybe that can free up some of this, I don't know, what to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe we could find 2 places in the community that offer the licensing and kind of find out the process of what it looks like.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good goal for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll identify 2 places that offer real estate licensing. And trying to think of a word to kind of get to like learn about requirements for the program. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And another thing that worries me about real estate, like starting out with that initially, is I know like college is really expensive. I don't know how much it costs to go to like a class about real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
And since I don't have a lot of resources right now, that would have to be a consideration too.
Definitely. So I think looking into kind of what does that process look like, that might be a good first step to say, should we continue this process or maybe table it and think down the road we'll get there, but for right now we'll choose a different path. So maybe while we're still early on, just kind of looking, what is this path going to look like?
Yeah.
And then we can decide from there. So an objective. So what's going to be that action step to identify 2 places?
Well, I guess just look at I mean, if I were gonna look at like the top, I don't know how many places are offered even in the city. I guess just look. I don't know. I don't even know if they're offered through like specific real estate agencies or if they're through like a college type setting.
That's true.
I feel like really it's just gonna take me looking into like all of the available options to decide what would be the like top 2 that I may want to consider going into.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe one first step would be just looking online and then calling just to see how many places are out there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good.
And then kind of choosing 2 from that to follow up with, like, what does your program look like and what does your program look like?
Yeah.
Okay. Various potential programs. And there may be some programs that we don't know about. Maybe like JobPoint is in the community and they help out with different licensing and certificates, like CNA so maybe they are like, oh, maybe I know about some other program that does this. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't close the door yet. We'll just look into it and then see what that looks like. Okay. All right. So I got the information that I needed, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Seems like we've got some really great strengths and really good goals to follow up with. So is the same time next week going to work for you?
Yeah.
Great. You have any other questions before we go?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Are you gonna walk out with me and show me the housing stuff?
Definitely. Yeah. I'll get you that list and that application material.
Great. Thank you.